if without a further ado, if I may introduce you to our class, the next speaker for our Menger Academy is Elena Leontjeva. She is the president and co-founder of the Lithuanian Free Market Institute. So, Elena, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Vilnius. It's 12 a.m. at night in Vilnius now, and I'm very eager to share with you some findings of my years and my institute. As a scholars of the Austrian school, you all know the phenomenon of scarcity, since it is the basic principle on which economics and economic life of humanity, and of course the Austrian economic school, is based. But today I invite you to go beyond economics, to go beyond what we know as scarcity of resources, to go into the very wild world where scarcity is present, and to share with you the studies of my institute. So let me start the story personally. As a reformer who helped to build independent economic institutions of my country, from the socialist times to the new free market society, at some point I started to face the resistance of people to economizing, to monetizing matters which used to be free in the older socialist times and which suddenly started to be monetized in the new free market life. Although at the beginning of the transition, people were very supportive to the idea that we will have private property, that we will have market exchange, free prices. So everyone were very supportive to this. But probably the hope of people was that the time of shortages will be finished and that we will have access not only to the goods like people had in the capitalist society. It is not just the plenty of a supermarket. People thought that also all kind of scarcities will disappear, and the resources probably and the money will not be scarce, and everyone will run a Ferrari quite very soon. So in 3 or 4 years, people started to face the reality that money is very scarce, resources are scarce, and access to goods is very scarce. So in old Soviet times, many things were approachable for free. For example, my family, we had an apartment of two rooms, not two living rooms, but 2 rooms per se. But we could not buy a new apartment. We could not even get in a queue to get a new apartment because square meters per one head were enough, and we were not allowed even to queue for a new apartment. So we were living in 32 square meters in a communal apartment where 5 families were sharing 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom, and 1 toilet. So this was the reality of the Soviet times. And people did not have even an access to monetary relationship, not even a possibility to buy something. And suddenly in the free market, everything is monetized. Healthcare is monetized, everything is monetized. So people started to resist the free market system. And I started to think about it when I resigned from my active life later on, a decade after we started the reforms. In 2001, I resigned and I was writing a novel. And I was thinking about the reasons of this resistance, why people despise economics and free markets so much. And my hypothesis was that people do not know something about the very background of why there is economic life. And this phenomena is scarcity. So I invited scholars from different disciplines, starting with philosophy, anthropology, theology, history, sociology, of course, economics, and from different countries, to ask a question: what does humanity know about the most universal sense of scarcity, of things being not available, not enough, limited? And from different disciplines, scholars came back with an insight that this phenomena is the primary element in everything in the structure of being. I stress it, not just in economic life, not just in human life, in the structure of being, the principle of incompleteness, insufficiency, finiteness, limitness, imperfection is the very basic primary principle, as important as form and matter. And so in economic life, it is only a small fragment. It is just a reflection of this basic principle. So let me put it, we will go through the slides a little bit later, but now let me just tell you the story. So everything in physical life, in physical principles, in chemical processes, everything is based in time. And time means change. And change means that something that is coming a moment, next moment is not yet here a moment ago. It is a not yet principle. It is a principle of ever happening change and completion. And this completion is never finite. So it is just a next step in the next completion. Maybe the easiest way is to see. Okay, let me still start with the slides. I think it will be easier. I need to open them. So, scarcity and lack beyond economics and back. So here you see the disciplines which participated in the study.
Elena, sorry to interrupt you. I think
Yes,
if you can press share my screen at the bottom of the Zoom, the green button,
it was pressed, I think.
and then it should be unless we have to open the window as well.
Do you see it at all or not?
No, not yet.
When she shares, it'll take over.
There we go. Now we see
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And then if you want, you can also press the third button at the bottom of the slide. That's like the presentation button. I think that might help make it a bigger screen. Next to the pen and the magnifying glass on your PowerPoint. Um, just down a little bit. See where the pencil is?
The slide.
Here?
Yes, the third one. That one. Yeah, press that one. Let's see if that works. Oh, actually, I think that's a hide. Um,
It's back.
maybe press it back one more time.
Oh, use slideshow. Or is that it? Use slideshow.
Yeah, actually use slideshow
It's always
to the right. Yeah, try that one. Yes, perfect. Okay, now we see that and we see you.
Okay,
Excellent.
great. So, scarcity beyond economics. And we found out that it is a universal and fundamental principle, as incompleteness, insufficiency, imperfection, scarcity. And at some point of time, we understood that it is not proper to name it scarcity, and we called it lack. The irony is that humanity is so much wounded by this principle, by this incompleteness, that in no language there is a good, a positive name to call it. So in all languages, the name presupposes that there was something promised but not given, something given and taken away. Today we still keep the term lack. We think about limitation as a probable word. Maybe in our discussion you will suggest even a better notion. And it is manifested everywhere in time, space, matter. Let me go to the next slide. You understand that it is not just a material scarcity. This picture helps to understand the principle of scarcity as something that is not yet here. A seed lacks sun and lacks minerals and lacks liquid, and so it starts to grow forced by this lack. And also at every moment of the time, it lacks the features which will appear in the next moment. And at some time, a small seed will become a huge tree. But every moment it lacks the features, it lacks the leaves, it lacks the flowers, it lacks the fruit of this tree. So everything is in process. And a human being is a special creature among the others. We not only are born lacking everything, we are born naked and lacking the care, the love of the mother, the food which is provided by the mother. We lack everything, and we grow into acquiring all the features, all the human features, gradually. And only a human being can also comprehend lack, and it forces us to be creative. Our creativity, productivity, the whole progress is a result of conscious response to lack. And economics is just one fragment of the whole universe of lack. And scarcity in economics forces us to labor, to cooperate, to save and invest, to innovate. And progress is a result of innovation in response to scarcity. And that's how we, humanity, create prosperity. And the biggest injustice is that for many people, scarcity is seen as a result of unfair allocation of resources, of free market principles. And they do not understand, they do not see the beauty of this picture, whereas humanity, in response to scarcity, has created all the institutions, including money, starting with money, exchange, property, and that all those institutions, they help us to create prosperity. And the prosperity is so huge, so enormous, that it even hides. It even hides the relevance of the principle of scarcity. As I mentioned, people in a former socialist country thought that if we transfer to a capitalist society, we will have everything available. Yes, right, we will have things available in supermarket. It's only a matter of money in your pocket, how much you can buy. But time will remain scarce, and time is the first economic resource. Resources will remain scarce, and it is why we have money. Money is the visible sign of invisible scarcity. And be ready for an insight. It is only in economic life that principle of lack, the immanent and fundamental and universal principle of lack, is so vividly manifested. It is manifested through money. It is mitigated through exchange, through price system. And therefore, sometimes we have a paradox that people accuse even market economy or economists for inflicting monetary relationships where they should not belong. For example, friendship, family. Since money helps to mitigate scarcity in economic world, of course, there is an intuitive temptation to think that money can help buy more friends or more love. But this distinction, we can better understand this distinction and the separation line between these very separate spheres of life with the help of scarcity. And of course, it is not the economists who inflict using money to buy more love. This is people's temptation to think that an instrument which is so helpful in economic life will help them to deal with lack in the other field of their life. But this is just one funny example showing how much things can be clarified with the help of understanding that scarcity and lack are universal principles. In our study, we, of course, raised the question how it could be that we, in the 21st century, found out the fundamental role of scarcity and lack. Of course, we found some discussions in the classical philosophy. We found in Aristotle the third principle of becoming and being, which he called steresis, and he spoke about form and matter as not the form and matter would not explain why things come to being, why things change, and Aristotle thought that there must be a third principle, third origin, which he called steresis. But we found out that there is no such a fundamental hermeneutic approach to this principle before our study. So we looked for the reasons of this unacceptance of lack, and there are plenty of those reasons, and they're very important when we come to think why a market is despised, why Austrian economic school is considered to be an ideology. All of these insights are very important. So lack as a catalyst and a potential of economic life, of progress, of community, of cooperation, it goes unnoticed and unappreciated, while lack as a shortage and insecurity always wounds and awakens. But human brains are made in a way that our neurons always are triggered by some incompleteness, some insufficiencies. And we have a perfect body to react to the world of the lacks and to improve the world, to conclude the world, to be creative. And even our liberty, as the studies show, is in a dialogue with insufficiency. If the world was complete and perfect, a human being would add nothing to this world. And only by working, only by learning, only by putting efforts, we become more of ourselves. We learn, we meet other people, we innovate, we find out our vocation. So we fulfill ourselves as we fulfill the world, and all of this is because the world is not completed. It is open to our creativity. And also lack is experienced as a personal threat and injustice. And therefore, the universal character of lack is kind of hidden. And even working with the scholars, we had to put some efforts to go beyond these personal wounds of lack to find out the really universal characters. And as I mentioned, the abundance and surplus created by the modern economy, by the free market economy, hides the immanent character of lack. And lack is an element of being, but it is not an entity. It's something that is not yet here, something that is lacking. I should mention it is not complete nothingness. It is a potential which is hidden in time, and thus it escapes perception. And also we always want to react to lack and not to consider, to contemplate it. And it always covered by time, and it creates uncertainty and insecurity. The trigger of lack is really genius. So many people treat it as an enemy, as a personal enemy, and as an enemy of human race. And we will come to understanding that also politics is drafted as a salvation of humanity from first of all economic incompletenesses, but also from other lack, a promise to deliver a perfect humanity. And we find out a very important borderline between this primary lack, this element, this universal, beautiful principle, and a secondary lack, which may be created by every creature. An animal can make a damage to another one by biting the other animal. the better the nature can create some damages. And of course, a human being being a moral agent can also create secondary lacks by human imperfection, mistakes, and frailty. And the name which is put to these phenomena is the same name. So this secondary lack, which is treated as injustice, and which truly frequently is a result of unjust action, things may be stolen, a person can be killed. So all of this is hiding the beautiful lack, which is in the background of the universe. And this confusion is not only in private heads, but also in public policies. And they are all treated as unjust, and politicians are called to eliminate them. And economic phenomena, as I mentioned, are accused of producing scarcities, not of responding and mitigating them. So this is one of the biggest injustice which was revealed by our study, why this is so. And consequences of negating and neglecting lack are enormous. Uneasiness and insecurity treated as enemies of human race, and politics is turned into a promise to eliminate all scarcities and lack. At the end of the study, we published a set of articles called Government Against Scarcity, how it changes who we are. So the basic idea is, since humanity does not understand the principal role of scarcity, it looks for liberation, and liberation ought to come from the government. That's why so many illusions and utopias are born, and the utopia of communism is basically rooted in misunderstanding of the role of scarcity, and actually what Marx promised to deliver humanity from is the dependence on nature. So man had to become independent of nature, which means conquering scarcities, being the power of nature. And people lack will and skills to respond positively to scarcity, and many live in perpetual illusions and disappointment. So as humanity, we wait for the government to deliver us from lack, and as private persons, frequently people find themselves in an illusion that when they earn enough money, when they get all diplomas, when they marry a prince or a princess, everything will be settled and the life will be free of any scarcities. No, the study shows that incompleteness is a constant in every human's life. But we cannot respond to all incompletenesses. So there is always a priority lack in our life, which presupposes our action. And it also explains that we always have to wait alternative paths, maybe not consciously, but we always wait alternative paths, what we know in economics as alternative costs, but we do it in all spheres of our life. But it doesn't mean we are using economic tools to find the best ways for the best benefit in our life. It just means that the principles which are defined by economics and especially by the Austrian economics, these principles are universal. They are ontological principles. So benefits of recognition of lack are plenty. Ontological roots verify that economic phenomena is an intrinsic humanity's response to scarcity and lack. And it helps us to rehabilitate economic phenomena, and the stigma of immorality of economic action could be removed. And only then we can put a proper focus on morality of each human choice. Because now when injustice is treated as a character of free market, of course, many people live in a complete moral confusion, and they do not put enough focus on their personal choices, on their action. Here is a card which we have produced, and it shows on the left side, it shows all the negative connotations of a principle of lack, as I already mentioned, many of them. And on the right side, the positive connotations. And the main exercise for us, for human beings, is to learn how to transform this negative into the positive, how to see incompleteness as a potential, how to see scarcities as a catalyst, inspiration, possibility, space, springboard, stimulus. A lot of positive notions open the positive action to us. So even if we come to understanding the public policy, the main aim is not to lock people in this helpless relationship with lack, but to educate people, to raise young generation with a positive attitude to incompleteness as a possibility. So for Karl Menger, the founder of the Austrian school, understanding of this scarcity, I believe it was organic for him. So his aim and the aim of his successors was to grow the tree of understanding economic principles, understanding economic regularities. And they're all based on understanding of scarcity. But today, when we see that this tree of Austrian economics is in danger, our role is to deepen the roots, to find out, first of all, to deepen, to strengthen the roots which are based on universal principle of scarcity and lack. So you see here also from a small seed, an enormous, beautiful tree of understanding economic regularities and helping humanity to mitigate scarcity was grown by the Austrian scholars. And we need to deepen the roots to explain that this is not an ideology. This is the ontological paradigms. They reflect how we human beings are, and they reflect the regularities of how this being is constructed. And here are some of the production of our study. There is a documentary, Sublime Thirst, which presents the insights of the study, the peer-reviewed book, Phenomenon of Lack, Being, Man and Community. And as I mentioned, a publication called Government Against Scarcity, How It Changes Who We Are. And you are welcome to scan the QR codes. And let me summarize. So finding out that the principle of scarcity, which is so visible in economic life, is a reflection of the universal fundamental principle of lack. Accepting, understanding this principle and accepting it is necessary not only to rehabilitate the economic phenomena, not only to have a sound approach to policies. It is useful to every one of us in our private lives, because in our relationship with the others, we are regularly wounded by not understanding that this imperfection of each of us is also a springboard of advancing to perfection, of being necessary to each other, of exchanging. Our diversity plays such a beautiful role in being drawn to each other in exchange, but also in friendship, in love. So it opens very broad horizons to understanding the rules, the regularities of this life, and depending on the field of your study, to find out new approaches to deepen the understanding of regularities as they were formulated by the Austrian scholars. So also to find out that we are in this not yet moment, that the theory and Austrian school and maybe other fields of your studies, psychology or anthropology or sociology, they could be also developed, and we are the creative part of this world. So thank you so much for inviting me to share these findings, and let's open the floor to discussions.
I don't think you heard us clap, but thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation and lecture.
Thank you.
Do we have questions in the chat? I think
No questions.
Does anyone really want to comment?
I have a question, but it's not.
yes. Okay, we have a question.
Hi, Elena.
Yeah.
Not to press anything. So, just out of curiosity, in my studies in post-Soviet Armenia, during the Soviet Union, you mentioned about the flats and how you couldn't get a new place. Is it true over there, where you're from, in Lithuania, that if you had 10,000 rubles, you could get a death sentence? That's how it was in the Republic of Armenia.
It had to be 100,000 rubles, and you had not just to have it, but to be caught in some criminal activity. But as a rule, if you had 100,000 rubles, the government could find out something, because there was no just way to earn this amount of money. Yeah, and in my novel, by the way, since we have people from the former socialist, let me show you my novel. It's called The Market Square, or The Story of Two Jean. So I have one hero from a former socialist times, and he was caught in having 100,000 rubles at the time of perestroika, at the time of the transition, when inflation inflated the amounts. So 100,000 was maybe like 5,000 before, but the laws were not changed. So he faced this danger of being killed just for making, even in that case, some good for the society, because he was trying to do the reform still based on state property. So actually the novel shows that you cannot reform and have some free market principles, as there was a hope at the very beginning, by keeping the state property. Property must be private.
So they were so addicted to scarcity that abundance might get you a death penalty.
Yes, that's a good insight. Yes, and
hey,
right.
Speaking of the perestroika, just if you could remind me, I think there was an era there of cooperatives, right? Where the government was allowing people to kind of do some businesses. I mean, a transitionary. What's your take on that? Cooperative, they called it, right?
Yes. At that time, the socialist camp, the whole camp, was struggling to find some compromise ways to produce things, because people were actually starving. We in Lithuania, we had always very good food industries, quite good agriculture. So we had enough bread and milk and even sausage. But in some distant areas, they were almost starving. And in the pictures of those times, you can see a supermarket, and they have just cans of something, and so they were looking for the ways to reform the system without going to the free market. But the experience fortunately showed that there is no middle way. This middle way, which the capitalist society is looking for now, this third way, it's really an illusion. So you must have private property, you must have free sound money and free price systems. And only on this background, people can react to scarcity, mitigate it, and create enormous prosperity. All the other ways, they are not creating enough prosperity. But I shared with you this only because some people say, how could you come to these very important insights? And frankly, it was thanks to this Soviet experience and to my role as a reformer, when I had to deal with passion, to deal with the reforms, and also to find out that people are resisting them, people are hating them. Oh, by the way, it's a nice parallel. You know that economics is called the dismal science. Dismal economics is because it is the only field where scarcity is revealed. It's not hidden as in other fields of our life. And people know that it is not enough even before they start doing something. So people are wounded by this being not enough. But it is only because it is not enough that we are acting. If there are not more questions, let me share that now we apply the insights of this study to analysis of universal basic income. And we consider, even if economically it would be possible to give everyone according to his needs, and we human beings are insatiable, actually, we analyze what damage it would bring to the human nature, to our interdependency. So So the results will be published in the United States, I hope, this year.
Hi, Elena. I'm so grateful that we met in New York in the elevator, if you remember.
Yeah, I don't see who is speaking, but
Oh, it's me. Can you see me?
oh yes, yes.
Yeah, you remember we met in the elevator at the Atlas Network conference in New York.
Oh yes, now I increase the view. Yes, yeah, I had a
Yeah. So thank you for joining us today at the Menger Institute. I just want to say thank you also for humanizing the science of economics. That's what economics is lacking, but it's a human science, and you did a great job at humanizing this science. My question is, with the advancement in technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, do you think human beings will be ever able to overcome scarcities?
No, because as I mentioned, scarcity and lack is universal, and in everyone experiences this priority of lacks. And when we lack money, we earn money, we work hard, but then we experience lack of love. Then we look for a beloved one. We start a family, then we lack children. Many families today lack children. Eventually, we get children, then we lack time. And we hope that the children will be grown up, educated, leave home, and then we will have enough time for ourselves. And then we lack meaning. So lack is a constant in a human being's life. So if technological process decreases the pressure of material scarcity, the pressure of the meaning relationship, the need for beauty, it will be enhanced. So, and we will have to learn to deal with other scarcities. Therefore, we say in our studies that UBI is dangerous for people since it gives money and it relieves the need to learn new skills, to put efforts in the early morning. But the limit, the shortage of meaning, the shortage of community will be pressing this person much more. And if he is not born to become a philosopher, it will be devastating. So the disease of depression, which is so widespread in the modern world now, will become, very common matter. So there will always be scarcity, and this is a bad news and a good news. Once I understand that there always be scarcity, I'm more ready. I'm not waiting for the moment when I will be delivered from scarcity. I understand that my liberty is to be creative with all these insufficiencies in my life. And even as I mentioned to you, I thought that we had to start at 3 p.m. your time, and I took a nap, and then I found out that it's to 10. So I experienced an ecstasy because I had to get ready in 10 minutes instead of 1 hour and 10 minutes. And this, I already have a habit to do it because the time pressure is the most pressing scarcity in our life, the time pressure. But so understanding lack and being a friend with lack liberates. It liberates from the pretension to all of you for being perfect people, for myself to being a perfect person. I understand that my current imperfection, it's a chance to grow up. It's a chance, to learn something more. It's a chance to advance Austrian school. So I am surrounded by variety of possibilities. And this is my liberty, not to be delivered from them. So I see a question.
Thank you for your wonderful and beautiful answer. Thank you.
There is a raised hand.
Yes. Can I ask the question?
Sure.
Yeah. So you touched on the topic of universal basic income, which is really great. And I have a question related to that. Like, what do you also think of negative income tax, which was advocated by Milton Friedman? I think like I'm seeing some sort of like split between the libertarian think tanks, like for example, like FEE, they are anti negative income tax and anti UBI, but the other think tanks like Adam Smith Institute and Niskanen Center, they are more like pragmatic on the free market welfare kind of thing, which is like smaller state, but stay advocating for pragmatic like UBI or negative income tax. What do you think of that?
Yeah, thank you. So we studied, as I mentioned, mostly impact on human nature, but of course, the negative impact tax is a possible solution, but it is not equal UBI. And the hope that UBI will replace all current welfare state is an illusion. Of course, if UBI is introduced, it will come on top of all other welfare because people with special needs will still argue that they need more than people without special needs. People with more children in the family will always argue that they need more. So it will not be one of the ironies is that it will not be a UBI, it will not be universal, because society will very quickly understand that the billionaires do not need income, so they will start making it classified, targeted. It will not be universal. So we also study in Lithuania, we study the unemployment payments, and we find out that they become a trap for people who become a long-term unemployed. So there are a lot of important insights into the UBI. And of course, with the progress now, I understand that many people will push to UBI, but our study shows that it is a danger for a human being to put him in a preserved condition, to give this hope that you can survive without putting efforts every day. With the progress, we need to put efforts every day to catch up with the progress, to know which button to push, right? And not only as a producers, as a employees, as a capitalists, but also as consumers. So if we put people in a reservoir where they're not dependent on anyone, they will become completely helpless very, very soon. If in 19th century it would take time, in 21st century, these people will become helpless very soon. So the progress is an argument why we cannot liberate people from the necessity to find out how can I be helpful to the society, what new service I can develop, how I can use my hands in the world of the robots, how can I use my understanding of beauty, my art skills, or anything. So I believe that we should not liberate people from the need to be necessary somehow to find out their way to survive in the society. And then it's better to support those who anyway become helpless instead of making a big part of the society helpless pretty soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was a really great answer as well.
Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. And if there is an interest, we could have another meeting and see how Austrian school, how it is rooted in understanding of scarcity, and how every Austrian principle, subjective value, marginal utility, how it could be better understood, better explained to the people as an ontological principle, how this could be developed further. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And please be inventive and use it in all of your studies, in all of your undertakings, and be brave.
Elena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.